Well, good Friday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. Hopefully, you have a great weekend. It's going to be a busy one for me because this is the last weekend that we have before the Dallas Cowboys show up in Oxnard next week. Oh my God, here we go, here we go, here we go. If you can't get excited now, if you are not ready to rock and roll, I think we need to check your pulse. This is literally what it's all about. We have had one of the ugliest off seasons that I can ever remember. It's not that it's different, but I think people took it more personally this year. The Cowboys never make the big moves that everybody says that they should. And to their credit, even though they're not making those big moves, they're doing better than a lot of the teams that have. I didn't say all of them, but a lot of them. And we have, of course, still the situation right now with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and, of course, Micah Parsons. Micah, I honestly don't believe is going to get re-signed until next year because there's no advantage for the Cowboys other than to keeping him happy. You got him at $5 million as a cap hit this year. You do his deal, it's going to cost you a lot more this year. CD and Dak, on the other hand, you could save yourself some money and get some cap relief. And the question begs is, this is where things are going to come to a head. We've heard rumors, okay? We've heard rumors about the Dallas Cowboys bringing in a couple of players. Michael Thomas, we've heard, rumor, will be coming in today. Michael Thomas and Justin Simmons. Two guys, two veterans that are out there that are currently unemployed that would like to get on a roster. Michael Thomas has been down since 2019, although some of his being down would be, I believe, that he didn't have Drew Brees throwing to him anymore. It's a big difference between Andy Dalton and Drew Brees throwing to you. Jameis Winston and Drew Brees, as well as Derek Carr. So some of that could be the circumstances that deal with the team. And also losing Sean Payton has to add to that as well. Justin Simmons, on the other hand, he was actually All-Pro, I believe, last year. I know he's at least Pro Bowler. He may have been All-Pro last year. Denver decided we're going to go ahead and, we're getting the roster. We're saving some money. We're moving on, and we're rebuilding and reloading. So those are two guys that we allegedly have heard about the Cowboys bringing in. We heard a rumor from Dan Salio, who is dialed in with Stephen Jones and some people with the Dallas Cowboys as we sit here 48 days away from the kickoff of the season, about a possible big move as opposed to just signing a free agent, trading for T. Higgins, who has now signed his franchise tag. Now, here's the whole problem with the idea of T. Higgins is T. Higgins is franchise tagged, and that can't change until after the season, which means it's a hard $21 million. Currently, the Cowboys have about 12.5. So the only way you'd be able to make that move is by freeing up some cash by either kicking some money and restructuring some contracts or getting CD or Dak or both redone. Now, here's an interesting bit, and I can't tell you what the Cowboys are doing. All these things are scenarios that are possibilities, rumors, and innuendos. Nobody really knows for sure what may or may not be happening. We don't know. Dan is cool people and everything else. I don't know. And it may be good old deception for all we know. But we'll find out, hopefully, in the coming days. Now, here's where those who are in the camp of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, trade them, get rid of them, this is the last year and stuff. Stephen Jones has kind of dispelled that. Now, you can say a lot of things about Stephen Jones. But the one thing about Stephen Jones is he tells it like it is. He doesn't bullshit you and gives you a whole bunch of crap. Jerry will say we're all in and we're not all in. Stephen Jones is going to tell you pretty much how it is. And I learned that from when Des Bryant when everybody was, Jerry was talking about a whole Dez Bryant, we love Dez Bryant and everything. Yes, he's a Dallas Cowboy and everything else. When Stephen Jones was asked about Dez Bryant, he got stone faced and pretty much said, we're going to have to sit down and talk. And that let me know that he was not bullshitting you about, oh, we're going to keep Dez and things like that. I just wish that situation got ugly and they waited too long to finally let him go. They should have let him go right at the beginning of the season to have allowed him to become whole elsewhere. But be that as it may, we have a clip of Stephen Jones talking on Scoop City with Chase Daniels and Danny Rossini. And he touches a little bit about the situation with CD and Dak and so on. And I want you to hear what he has to say about all this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm not so sure I don't enjoy, when you got your own son out there, you enjoy that more than you do the Cowboys himself. He was fortunate. He won 2 state championships and, starting there at Highland Park. And Jerry and I both said, I think we like that every bit as much, if not more, than the Super Bowls we won here with the Cowboys. And, he played them at AT&T Stadium. And as you know, Chase, they follow Texas high school football in a big way. And those final games are, usually around 50,000 people in the stadium. And it's a lot of fun. So we had a good time with that.
No one knows about Texas high school football, Steven. It's like you try to tell them. I'm like, we had in the old Cowboys Stadium, we played in the state semifinal versus Allen. We had 60,000 people there for the game. It was crazy.
I know you did. It was crazy. Those Dragons have a lot of followers, and obviously Allen does too. And between you and McElroy and yours, and what a tradition there, those Dragon quarterbacks. But no, it's nothing like Texas high school football. Obviously, we have a fun place at the Star where we practice. And a lot of the high school games leading up to the semis and the finals are played right there at the Star. And John Stephen played most of his games because all these high school kids and coaches want to come play at a place like the Star, AT&T Stadium. So we've been blessed to get to watch a lot of top players, whether it's a CD Lamb or right on down the line of the great Texas high school players that have gone on to be great players in the NFL.
Gosh, the envy I have. Steven, I live in New Jersey, and it's just not like that here, Like, we just don't do football the way you guys do it in Texas. I'm not talking about the Jets and Giants. I'm not trying to take a knock at that. I'm just talking at the high school level. It's just not that much
All right,
fun.
Here we go.
Women's sports are good here, though. So, look, I can just dream. I'm living through both of you right now in those hopes. And look, right now, in talks of the Dallas Cowboys here, we got to get to it. The word when... right? When is the only word I can think of when I think of you, right? Because I'm thinking, when is Dak getting done? When is CD getting done? When is Micah getting done? When is Mike McCarthy getting done? When? So when will we have some answers here, Steven?
Well, those things take time, and we're talking about deals here. When you're talking about CD and Dak and, somebody like a Micah coming up. I mean, you're talking about 2 players that aren't quarterbacks that feel like they, ought to be a little bit like Jefferson, the top paid 9 quarterbacks in the league. And then, of course, you have Dak, who's obviously his resume speaks for itself. I think, he was second MVP voting last year. He's just had an extraordinary career here in Dallas. And, those things just take time when you're talking about the amount of money involved. And, of course, we're trying to a little bit play Houdini and how to keep all these guys around Dak and keep these players we were fortunate enough to draft. And, when you start stacking them up like that, it's a challenge. It's not that it's not doable, but you certainly got to, have some give and take if you want to do that. I know the Vikings there with Jefferson when they, made that inordinate deal at the receiver spot. They don't have one player on their team other than Jefferson making over $20 million. And, of course, we got a big one in Dak, and we got Diggs right there, and then you got Zach Martin and D-Law, and so we got a lot of guys making, quite a bit of money, and, that's no excuses. We think we can get this done. Know we can get it done, but it just takes time.
Are you confident, Steven, that you can get Dak done? Because, as you know, he's in the last year of his contract. Mike McCarthy's in the last year of his contract. Those are the 2 most important positions in all of sports, really. A head football coach and his quarterback, they're both going into sort of lame duck years. And what happens if you can't get Dak done? Is there a deadline? Is he going to set it? Do you guys have a deadline to be set?
Well, the answer to that question is we are optimistic that we can get these guys done. I know Dak, our goal is to get him done. And he knows that. We're having conversations and, with his agent, with Dak personally, both Jerry and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows our goal is to keep him here. He also understands the challenges. And, you see, what happens to teams when you do have these high-priced quarterbacks. At some point, it's a challenge to keep everybody. Obviously, the Chiefs are an example of that, but they were able to, survive not keeping Tyreek Hill and, some other top players. I think they let, one of the top corners in the league go this year, after this season. So, you have to make some tough choices along the way, but we're optimistic that we can do that. And we'll continue to grind away on that. I know, between fans and media, that's your job, is to ask when and can you and what happens if you don't. But, our eyes on the ball and in terms of getting these things done, and we're not thinking about what happens if you don't. We're trying to get the job done.
Internally, you must laugh a little bit of all the different ways we try to get you to give us an answer. But from you've made it really clear, even going back to you and I having that conversation at the league meetings in October in New York, and we were just right outside the hotel just chatting about Dak, and you just had such a confident look in your face, like, we believe in Dak. Dak's the guy. Why are you asking me these annoying questions? He's the guy. And it sounds like that is still the same sentiment in Dallas, and you guys do feel really optimistic this is getting done.
I think at the end of the day, a lot of people want to, somewhat be critical of the organization, of Jerry and myself, of Coach McCarthy, of our team. And, of course, Dak being the quarterback gets the brunt of it. You know that, Chase, of our success in the playoffs. But at the same time, you got to, certainly recognize that we've won 36 regular season games in 3 years, which, of course, we're playing 17 now. I think the Patriots may have done that, doing it in 16 games on a 3-year run. But, we're having really great success in the regular season, and there's no question.
We got to translate.
I understand the criticism from our fans. I understand criticism from media. We all understand that, in terms of not winning the big game in the playoffs. And we certainly got to take that next step. I know we could go out there and no one's assuming anything and win, have another great regular season. And no one's going to give, and they shouldn't, no one's going to, really give, hey, they're going to get it done this time until they see it. And we understand that. We put ourselves in that position with, our playoff winning percentage. And we do have to take that next step, but I certainly believe we can do it.
All right, I'm going to leave that right there. Okay, so here's what we got. We got Stephen Jones saying they're having positive conversations with not only Dak, but also his agents, Todd France, and that they want to keep him there. One more. Let's play another clip here. This is questions on will they get it done. Okay. All right. Looks like my computer. Okay. I guess that we're not going to get that clip then after all. Okay. Let's refresh it and see if we can do that. But the question will the Dallas Cowboys be able to get it done?
Yeah, that is to be determined, and really the ball is in the Dallas Cowboys court. We have talked about this. We talked about it at the league meeting in March. I think that was the league meeting. Anyway, that the Cowboys have really made no moves toward an extension for Dak. That still is where it remains. Now, you can do a new deal before training camp. You can do a new deal before the season. There is still time, but, all of the leaves that our good friend Jane blew with that leaf blower a couple weeks ago, they are now falling for the Cowboys. The market is showing what it is. Judy mentioned it. Is it possible Dak?
So here's the thing that's interesting about this is nothing has actually changed. Everybody acts like this is all different. We've been talking about $60 million. Dak Prescott could be the first $60 million guy, 4 months ago at the end of the year and so on. It's nothing changed. If anything, it's more realistic now because Trevor Lawrence, who, has been in the league, a few years, and it has been more of a disappointment than being the number one pick. So, you have to understand that when Dak Prescott got $40 million, the outrage of, oh my God, you can't pay a quarterback that. And, you know, when you start thinking about CeeDee Lamb getting, you know, possibly $35 million, I want to remind you guys, and people, you seem to be tuning out or don't seem to understand how these things work. Just because you have a contract that says you're worth $35 million a year doesn't mean that's actually the cap number, which is the bottom line is that. What is your percentage of the cap number? Because understand, this is Justin Jefferson's contract, okay? His cap number. And this is, you could do this exact, you could say, here, look, CD, we're just going to give you identical contracts as Justin Jefferson, okay? You could even go on and say, we're going to give you $1 more and make him the highest paid. But look at how it breaks down, okay? Understand, at this moment, as we sit here right now, his fifth-year option is $17.8 million. Justin Jefferson is now getting $35 million a year per average, and the cap number is 8.6 this year, only 3.3% of the cap. Dropping from $17 million. You gained money by doing it. Here's what's even more interesting. Next year, it's only $15.1 million, which is less than what the fifth-year option would be. Now, understandable, you then start looking and saying, well, 3 years down the road, it ends up being 38. True, it does end up being 38. But by signing this deal right now, just think about this for a second. Actually, let me do the numbers real quick. Okay, let's see what the actual average is for the next 3 years. Because what you have to look at is, we're talking about $8.6 million for this year, right? $15.1 million next year, and $38.9, right? That's $62 million. Now, here's what you have to do. Because you're saving $9 million, you need to minus that, okay? So that's $53 million of actually cap numbers. Save the $9 million over 3 years. Divide that by 3 people. I don't know if you can see that. That averages out to $17 million cap-wise for the first 3 years. That's what it averages out to. $17 million. We paid Michael Gallup $13 million. So don't tell me you can't do it, okay? So this is where
those who can do, those who can't talk about those who can. Now, can you or can you not? Or you just want to sit on the sideline and talk about other people, or can you step up?
And we're talking about the same thing when you look at, say, Trevor Lawrence's contract. It's just how you end up doing it. And mind you, by the way, if you do that deal with Justin Jefferson, okay, I know that $38 million sounds scary, but what you have to understand is the salary cap will continue to go up, okay? And it's really the percentages. But you could go through, after those 3 years, you could end up walking away and only owing $14 million. And see, that's the way you do it. And this is the short-sightedness that we have when we do contracts. Nothing's really changed with Dak Prescott's contract. It's still about the same number. So we'll see what happens. At least it sounds like they're finally beginning to get to work. Today is a big day in Cowboy land. I'm Mark Holmes, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys, because soon we're going to be talking about.
Because we sitting here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we're talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game. Not the game that I go out there and die for and play every game like it's my last. Not the game. We're talking about practice, man.